This case is wild. 1 to 2 murders, a house fire, forged documents. It doesn't get any crazier than this. I'm going to be diving back into a case that I have done before because I have done some interviews and there's been some new information that has came to light. So I'm going to be diving back into the murder of William Vic and the potential murder of Martha McLean. My knowledge of the case started with a Facebook post. So in a Johnson County group, there was an anonymous post, but it's pretty clear who the post was from. And you'll understand why I say that as I read the post. It starts out, "So I've kept quiet as long as possible. My husband was murdered by my mom, and then she attempted suicide and died several days later. As in true fashion, no one from the Courier, Johnson Callout, Arkansas Justice has asked or talked to me. As with many people in death, family shows their true colors. My husband has not talked to his brother and his wife for almost 5 years. 5 years since my mother-in-law died. My husband doesn't even go by Willie anymore. He has been going by Will since Bev died. When my mother-in-law died, it was a perfect timing thing on Teddy coming in and taking over about a month before she died. So he took over the house and finances. That was after other family were the ones taking care of her through her sickness. I will say my husband wasn't entirely innocent, but again, it was property, death, family thing. Perfect timing, but looking at his post, you wouldn't know. You think my husband and Teddy were talking daily or at least weekly. I challenge him to show proof that he has talked to my husband, a picture, text, or anything. Something after 2019 can't be number using 1824. That is my husband's father's number. The father did talk at times, but remember, one time that my husband was talking to him one time and he wasn't doing good, and my husband's father requested my husband to call my stepdaughter to call Teddy. My husband said Teddy was drama and he was done with it. I was offered to sell my stuff 3 days after my husband died by Ted and Michelle. Just wow. I was told after dropping off my boys. We went to talk to my mom. I was upset, shocked, crying, vomiting. She told me about the sucks. Of course, it's like putting my fingerprint on a gun. All the emotion one would have, I had. I left with my friend. I couldn't stand to be around my mom at the time and needed to process what had just been said. I was dropped off at the hotel because I was so distraught. My friend went to an attorney's office. He told her to go to the prosecutor office. There was no driving around. Sorry, we both had never been through this before. Calling 911 wasn't going to help my husband. My friend was at the prosecutor there making statements. I called to ask her to come get me. She finally did after making her statements. I was brought there for the same. We were in there forever, I felt like. I went to call my mom and she didn't answer multiple times. The investigator came in about that time and wanted a statement. I requested a welfare check since I wasn't able to get a hold of my mom and went to leave to check on my mom since they really weren't taking me serious, I think. The investigator promised to go out there and did. Go out there breaking in the door. She had wrote unalive note and what she had done. I believe she thought I would never forgive her. I beat my mom to the hospital. I left my mom's house mad. Who wouldn't have? I should have done things differently. I love my mom even though this has happened still. Who can recall when the news was wrong? Luckily, the prosecutor/investigator knows the timeline. Everybody keeps getting hung on the sucks. I can understand that, but if I wanted my mom to kill my husband, I would have let her shoot him. I took a firearm away a month before. The Courier did say that, but everybody chose to ignore it. Think that would have been much easier method, don't you think? I can't explain and probably never will really know how she got the sucks. She told me who she got it from, but how, I don't know. The hearsay and assumptions is crazy. I have not been impaired. Distraught, absolutely. I grieve for 2 people I love that died in a horrible, tragic way. It's bad enough that this has happened, but then I have to suffer through all the judgment that my community has put me through. I did get pulled over. I was trying to go to work my first day back. I had not slept for several days. I really was not aware of how bad I was driving until the police told me. After the sobriety test, the police let someone come and get me and take me back home. One policeman even prayed with me. I will say I'm not that religious, but it really helped me to know that someone cared. As HR, they were aware along with my hospitals. It's a thing they do to check on you. They have to do. Did I leave after? Yes. Why? Because I, once again, was upset. I wasn't ready to talk to anyone and I was at my job. They asked if I had enough time off. I requested to go home then. I was not impaired. They could do at any time a drug test. I even asked for one. Saying things don't make sense because it doesn't. There is no footage of me getting sucks. The investigators did not post requesting info on JRMC and DRMC for theft of drugs. That comes from Arkansas Justice. They would just get a search warrant or request to look at footage. I did not kill my husband. There are many more ways. If I wanted my house dead, that it would have been easier. My mother was alert and oriented. She cooked Christmas Day, which was a week later alongside me. People can be on hospice for years and aren't bedbound. My mom did come home with me and died that night. People in hospice do that. My mom has had an autopsy as well as my husband. Unfortunately, it takes months to get results. The day my husband was killed, there were no red flags. But once again, I wasn't feeling good, and both me and my husband hadn't slept since tonsillectomy. Nobody can hate themselves more than I do. As people defending me, I've told people to stay out of it. This may answer some questions, but I'm sure there is more, and the majority had their minds made up from the get-go. These texts come from my ex, kids, and others who have known my mom the longest. My mom wasn't perfect, and I'm truly sorry for what my mom did. I miss my husband every day. I don't even owe anyone this, but want to show how Teddy's true colors and how things can be manipulated. Teddy Vic and Michelle Vic, and this will be twisted as well. It's a shame the community can't just leave this to the investigators and let me grieve for my losses. Whew, I'm glad that is over with. I feel like I have a stroke every time I have to read that diatribe that was written and posted by Lorinda Vic. Certainly, hardly any of us have perfect English, but it is difficult for me to believe that as a nurse, she graduated college when she types like someone that's in elementary school or writes like someone who's in elementary school. It's difficult to read, difficult to get through, and to see what she even means. But I digress. That's not even the point of this. That post was the first thing that I saw in this case, that and an article from the Courier News. Now, Lorinda did refer to that Courier News article in her diatribe. I don't even know what to call it, statement. So we know that William Vic had a tonsillectomy in January 2023. Now, I don't know the date that he had that tonsillectomy, but on January 16th, 2023, he sent his wife, Lorinda, a picture of a sink full of blood, asking if it was like excessive blood loss. Now, he sent that because, she's a nurse, and she should know. She acted like everything was fine. Me, as a mother, I think it's excessive, but I'm not a medical professional, right? By January 17th, so that next day, William was dead. 6 days after the death or murder of William Vic, family members went to the Johnson County prosecutor's office to give the prosecutor a note that was allegedly written by Martha McLean. Martha McLean is the mother of Lorinda Vic. And in this note that Martha allegedly wrote, Martha took credit or responsibility for the murder of William Vic. While they were at the prosecutor's office, the family, Lorinda and her friend, told the prosecutor that they had not been able to get in contact with Martha McLean, so a welfare check was done. As an outsider looking at this case, and I'm not just saying this because I think that Lorinda is responsible for the murder of her husband, but as an outsider looking at this case, it's almost like something out of a Lifetime movie, right? The wife of the husband who died finds this letter where her mom is saying that she murdered her husband, and she takes it to the prosecutor's office because, like Lorinda said in her post, calling 911, that wouldn't have done anything. Never mind 911 is police, ambulance, and fire. It wouldn't have done anything. It wouldn't have done any good for William. So instead of calling 911, they take this letter, this note that they found in the prosecutor's office, and they're like, look, Mr. Prosecutor, we found this letter where my mom says that she killed my husband. BTW, I cannot get in contact with my mother. Could you do a welfare check? It just feels to me like Lorinda Vic is trying to distance herself from the murder of her husband. And if she is not responsible for the murder of William Vic, then it's such a strange set of circumstances for any case. So I'm going to be posting part 2 on this tomorrow. I have interviews from people that are close to Lorinda or have been close to Lorinda and William. And there's new information. Like I said, William Vic was born in Russellville, Arkansas to Ted and Beverly Vic in 1969. William was affectionately referred to as Willie by his family. He had his mom, his dad, and he had a brother named Ted Jr. William married a woman named Jacinda in 1992, and Jacinda and Will had 2 children. Now, they stayed married until 2010 when Jacinda filed for divorce. William Vic married Lorinda Howe in November of 2011, and she brought 2 kids of her own to the marriage. So he had 2. He had an older daughter that was already an adult and a younger son, and then she had 2 boys. Now, I did have the opportunity to speak to William's family, and I asked them a few questions. First of all, I asked them, what kind of person was William Vic?
Oh, I mean, he was a character. I mean, he loved the hiking thing. He loved the outdoors. He was always busy. He loved the mowing things, chainsaws. I mean, he was easy to get along with. I mean, he married Michelle and I in that house in 2016. So, and I mean, we went up there all the time. But he had a big personality, but he was fun-loving, easygoing guy. But like I said, I mean, his videos, it shows his goofy character.
You heard Ted Vic mention watching his brother's videos to get a feel for who his brother William was. That's because William Vic actually had a YouTube channel where he posted videos that he made, and they're mostly funny videos. Some of them are like product reviews, and there was even a true crime video on the Simmons murders.
Welcome to OFNN, the news network that's trusted to only bringing you fake news. Today's broadcast starts off with a story from Capitol Hill. Congress has just unanimously passed a bill outlawing people with ugly feet from wearing flip-flops in public. From what we're being told, this bill was passed in the shortest amount of time that Congress has ever put a bill into law. Now to our field reporter with the live reaction from a concerned citizen.
I think it's a pretty good deal in passing a law that says you can't be having your ugly feet exposed. But what about a fella like me? I got one pretty foot, and then I got one foot what got caught in a wood chipper. So what's a fella like me supposed to do? Wear my flapper on one foot and my cowboy boot on the other foot?
Wow, it's powerful stuff. Now let's go to another citizen for his take on the new law.
I think it's a really good law.
If you could just speak up, please.
The law, it's really good. I feel like it needed to be done, and I'm really not sure what to do with my hands.
You can just put them by your side.
I'm really happy with the new law, and at the end of the day, you gotta be happy that everything's gonna end up fine.
Well, there you have it, folks. Now for a word from our sponsor.
Are you tired of trimming your nails? Do you get frustrated when you lose nail clippers? Do your nails grow on a daily basis? If so, Nailcentric is the product for you. New Nailcentric, if taken daily, will stop nail growth in its tracks. No more worrying about your cuticles. No more worrying about that extra long pinky nail. Clip your nails to the desired length, then start taking Nailcentric on a daily basis to keep those perfect nails looking perfect. New Nailcentric stops nail growth in its tracks. Side effects may include increased nail growth, loss of nails, necrosis of the finger, male-pallid baldness, night terrors, loss of vision, major organ failure, and death may occur by taking this product. Ask your doctor about Nailcentric today.
What's up, guys? I've been putting cottage cheese in this milk jug. I've already drank the milk, but the wife doesn't know it. So I'm going to try to make her think that the milk has gone bad and that I'm going to drink it anyway, even though it's gone bad. So I'm going to finish putting this in here. And then I'm going to get me some cookies, and I'm going to see if I can maybe get her to throw up or something, thinking I'm drinking this spoiled milk. Anyway, let's see how this works. I'll be back.
Yeah, when we go to Branson, we want to go see the Robert Wadlow guy.
Oh, the
Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah. Big tall guy.
I think this milk's gone bad.
That's disgusting.
Look at that.
Oh my god.
That is disgusting.
Oh my god.
Bro, I dare you to drink.
No.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I have to drink it now.
No.
Babe, I just got dared to drink. Look
Do
at that.
not drink that.
I'm double dare you.
I just got double dared. I have to drink it now. It's a double dare, honey.
Do not.
Babe, it's a double dare.
Do not.
Double dare.
Triple dare.
Do not drink that.
By law, technically, I have to
That's
drink it.
stupid.
Babe, I could be arrested. I just got triple
That
dared.
is so stupid.
I could be arrested if I don't.
Will Vic. Do.
Oh, bro, I didn't think you were gonna drink it.
It's actually not that bad.
Oh, bro, you should chug the jug.
Not drink that.
Babe, look, it's not that bad.
So those are just a few of the videos that William Vic posted to his YouTube channel. And I don't know about you, but I thought that they were pretty funny. When I spoke with Ted and Michelle, Ted also addressed another thing that Lorinda mentioned in her Facebook post, the fact that Ted and William had been estranged for some time. You know, my take is that families squabble. I have a squabble happening in my family right now between two of my siblings. But this is what Ted had to say about the reason he and William hadn't really been speaking a lot before William's murder.
We hadn't spoken about 4 years before all this. But that was, that was a family deal that, I hate, it is what it is. But I mean, other than that, him and I had a really, really strong relationship prior to the family incident about 4 years ago. So, I mean, my brother was no saint as far as he did shady stuff, but he was kind of screwing my mom and dad a little bit on their bank accounts, and my mom and dad kept calling me, and I wasn't on my mom and dad's account, just my brother was. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll come down. So, we live in Missouri. They lived in Arkansas. So Michelle and I drove down, and I end up, well, Dad, we're going to have to go to the bank. So we go to the bank and pull a couple years of statements. And, yeah, they were pulling quite a bit of money out of their account every month. So that kind of started the whole kind of a little, thing with my brother and I and Lorinda, because my mom was actually on hospice and bedridden. She was pretty much, at that, we took over the account. I took over the account, I think, in probably February, March of 18, and my mom died December of 18. So at that point, we just kind of stopped talking. He got a little mad because I called him out, and Lorinda had my mom's debit card, using it every single day to buy donuts and coffee, and she had TJ Maxx and Russellville, from Russellville there, JCPenney, eBay. And I'm just like, geez, give me my mom's freaking debit card.
As an older sibling, I can't say that I think that I would have handled things much differently, but that's just me. This is the second video in my series on the William Vic murder. And like I said in the first video, this case is crazy. There are 1 to 2 murders, I believe 2 murders involved in this, a house burning down, forgery. So we're going to get into the actual crimes that occurred in the next video that I do, which will probably be tomorrow. In that video, I'll be talking about the forgery and William Vic's murder. William Vic's father owned a piece of property in Johnson County, Arkansas. Now, in 2020, it looked like Ted Vic Jr. had taken himself off of that deed and put William Vic and Lorinda on in its place. But is that really what happened? This is one of the documents that was filed. You can see Ted Vic's signature along with William and Lorinda Vic, and that was notarized by Jackie Dominguez. Here you can make a comparison of the two Ted Vic signatures. As you can see, these signatures are not even close to being the same. And not only that, but the William Vic and Lorinda Vic signatures are exactly the same. So that is something that was going on. Then in January 2023, William Vic had a tonsillectomy. Now, it is important to know that Lorinda Vic is actually an RN. So Ted Vic had a complication, I would say, from his tonsillectomy, and he sent this picture to his wife, Lorinda, asking for feedback. So here's that photo. Now, I am not a medical professional, but I have had a child that has had a tonsillectomy. This was not anything close to what our normal was, but Lorinda Vic made it seem like it was all okay. It really wouldn't have mattered, though, because 36 hours later, Ted Vic would be dead. William Vic's death certificate actually said that his death was a homicide and that he died by mix of lorazepam, morphine, and tramadol toxicity. Now, in Lorinda Vic's diatribe on Facebook, she did say that William Vic died of succinylcholine. Now, I don't know how long succinylcholine stays in your system, if it would even be something that would come up on an autopsy. So it is interesting to me that it isn't listed here. But I did a quick Google search on succinylcholine, and it seemed like the results were mixed as to whether that would be something that would be able to be detected in an autopsy or not. I don't know where a normal person might find succinylcholine on the street, but I do know that it's found in hospitals, and Lorinda Vic happened to work in two. So William Vic actually died on January 17th, 2023. Now, just less than a week later, on January 23rd, 2023, Lorinda Vic said that her mother gave her a note taking responsibility for the murder of William Vic. So Lorinda Vic said that her mother, Martha McLean, gave her a note taking responsibility for William Vic's murder. Now, when Lorinda Vic got this note, she didn't call the police like a normal person. Instead, she went to an attorney's office. Well, she had a friend drive her to an attorney's office. Now, that attorney, according to Lorinda, told Lorinda and her friend to go to the prosecutor's office. So when Lorinda Vic drove to the prosecutor's office, she was there in the office with the prosecutor, and she said, I haven't been able to get in contact with my mother. So she had the police do a welfare check. And when they did a welfare check, they got to Martha McLean's home. They made their way into the home, and they found Martha McLean struggling to breathe. I don't know. To me, it's like something straight out of a soap opera. What are the odds? What are the odds that your mother would give you this note saying that she killed your husband? You go to the prosecutor's office and you're like, oh me, oh my, I don't know. There might be something wrong with my mom. Can you go and check? And they do. And your mom is on her deathbed. Now, allegedly in that note, Martha McLean said that she gave William Vic diazepam, morphine, and then that she injected him with this succinylcholine. And those medications were found at Martha McLean's home. Now, by all accounts, before any of this happened, Martha McLean got around fine. She didn't need assistance. But after the murder of William and Martha McLean overdosing on medication, she went into the hospital. Now, she did not get to come out of the hospital until it was arranged for her to come home in hospice care. But who was it that arranged to take care of her? Well, her daughter, Lorinda Vic. So then that's why I said we have a forgery and one murder, maybe even two murders, because the real question, we know that William Vic was murdered, but was Martha McLean murdered, or did she die by her own hand? Now, on the issue of the forgery, the Vic family was able to get in contact with Jackie Dominguez. Jackie Dominguez is the one that notarized the documents for Lorinda Vic. Now, I asked the Vic family, why would she do this? Why would she put herself in that position? And the reply was that Jackie Dominguez worked with Lorinda Vic and she trusted her. So Jackie Dominguez did communicate with the Vic family, and she did end up writing a statement talking about how she did notarize the documents under false pretenses. With all the information that he had, Ted Vic Jr. was able to hire an attorney and get his name back on the deed, which happened in December 2023. So they did win that civil suit. But there is so much more to come in this case. Right now we have one murder, the murder of William Vic. We have the possible murder of Martha McLean. Could she have been murdered? I think it's a real possibility. Then we have the forgery of the land deed for sale. And we also have something coming up I don't even think you'd guess. Speak with several members of the Vic family, and I have that information coming as well. That'll all be in the fourth and last video. I hope that you'll join me then.
What's up, guys? Anybody out there planning on being with a nurse? I got some information and some knowledge I want to pass on to you. So if you're talking to a nurse, if you're dating a nurse, maybe you're engaged, about to get married, or maybe you just recently got married, there's some things you need to know. So I'm going to tell you some stuff that I have learned over the years, and none of these are in any particular order. Just a few things that I'm going to share with you today to maybe help you in your journey to being married to a nurse. The number one thing that I want to talk to you today about is catheters. So if at any point in any conversation that you're ever having, if the word catheter comes up in that conversation, do everything you can in your powers to end that conversation right then and there. I don't care if you have to be rude and walk away. I don't care if you got to change the subject. I don't care what you have to do. Shut that conversation down. Just shut it down. End it. Stop. Over. Done. End it. No more. If you're at your house and she starts talking about catheters, catch the damn thing on fire. If you're driving down the road and she starts talking about catheters, run your truck off in a ditch. I don't care what you've got to do. That's not a conversation you want to be having. So just shut that down right off the bat. Another good one is hours. You're never going to work as many hours as they work. I don't care if you're a truck driver going from New York to California with a load of nitroglycerin, and you drove all the way through, didn't stop, didn't eat, didn't take a bathroom break, nothing. You're never going to work as many hours or be as stressed out as they are on their 12-hour shift. So just know you're never going to win that fight. Another thing that they're going to talk to you about all the time is money. Now, nurses make pretty good money, usually around $30, $35 an hour or something like that. Chances are, unless you're in that industry, you're probably not making that much. So they're probably going to always be one-upping you on the whole money thing. And it doesn't just end there. They're going to be at work talking to all their other little nurse friends about money, and somebody's going to mention traveling. So then she's going to get to talking to them about traveling, then somebody else is going to start talking to them about traveling, and before you know it, 5 of them have already made plans to get together and do a traveling nursing assignment. So she's going to come home that night and throw that at you. You are 100% going to shut it down. Hell no, not happening, never, no, shut up, I don't want to hear about it again. Well, then she's going to start talking to you about money, about how much money she can make in that 3-month travel stint, and all the stuff that you can pay off and all the stuff that you can do and this and that. And then guess what? Your little brain's going to start spinning. And as she's sitting there rambling on about stuff, you're going to drift off. And you're going to start thinking about all the crap you can do to your truck, and the nice rims and tires you can put on it, and the new 4-wheeler that you've been wanting to get. So you're going to fall into that little trap, and you're going to be like, okay, I think that's a good idea. I think you should go do that. Guess what? It's a trap. You're being trapped, son. You're going to be stuck with all the damn kids, doing all the dishes, all the laundry, mowing the yard, hauling them to their games, picking up after them. You are going to have those kids for 3 months doing everything by yourself. So at the end of that 3 months, you're going to be ready to kill somebody. But guess what? It don't end there. They're going to call you after that 3 months and tell you that they've been offered another 3 months. You're going to shut that crap down immediately. But guess what? Then they're going to tell you that they've been offered more money with a bonus. So if I just do another 3 months, well, I'll get another bonus, plus it'll be even more money. So then your little brain starts doing that thing again, where you start thinking about you can do even more stuff to your truck and even more stuff to your 4-wheeler and all these new guns you can get. That traveling nursing thing, boys, you're going to fall into that trap, so just be ready for it. Also be ready for them to come home every day and tell you that they're mad at somebody. A doctor pissed them off, another nurse pissed them off, a patient pissed them off, a patient's family member pissed them off. Somebody throughout that 12-hour shift is going to piss them off. They're going to be mad, they're going to be irritated, and they're going to tell you all about it. But guess what? Don't take the bait. Do not take the bait. Don't sit there and say, oh yeah, I understand. I know what you're going through. You don't. You don't have a clue what they're going through. You do not understand at all. So don't say you understand. Don't say you feel for them. Don't say it. Just sit there and smile and nod your head yes. This right here. This right here. See what I'm doing? I'm smiling. I'm nodding. This is all you do. Now, maybe at the end of the little story, you give them a little pat on the back while you're doing that. Like this. This right here. No, it'll get better. Don't do that. No, oh, I understand what you feel. Don't do that. None of that. Don't say a word. Just sit there and smile. And then at the end, pat them on the back. That'll end that crap. But guess what? That's going to happen every day. They're going to get mad at somebody every single day. The last thing I want to talk to you about is plan on them running your favorite place to eat. So say you just love McDonald's and your Big Mac or your Double or whatever it is. You love going to McDonald's. Well, while you're sitting there at McDonald's chewing on your McBurger, they're going to tell you some nasty, gross, disgusting story of some nasty patient that came in there and done some nasty crap while you're sitting there eating on that Big Mac. And you got your French fries and you got your chocolate malt and you got your freaking M&M McFlurry. And every time you go to McDonald's from then on out, you're going to think about that disgusting, nasty story that they told you every time you go to eat that McFlurry or eat into that burger, and it's going to freaking ruin it for you. So there are a million things that nurses do that are going to irritate you and make you mad and piss you off. But they're very caring, loving people, and they're going to take care of you for the rest of your life. Just be patient with them. Just understand what they deal with every day and what they go through with, and everything will be just fine. So anyway, if you're going to marry a nurse, or you're about to marry a nurse, or you did just marry a nurse, I hope I've helped you out today. And when it comes to all these things that are going to happen, you're going to be prepared. So anyway, guys, appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next go around. Peace out.
Just to catch you up, William Vic was found murdered in January 2023. No one has been arrested for his murder. Police did believe at one point, or the prosecutor did believe at one point, that his mother-in-law was actually responsible for the murder, but she died shortly after the murder, and I would say also under suspicious circumstances. So anyway, you can find out more information about that by clicking on the playlist. So far in the William Vic case, we've had one, possibly two murders, a forgery, and today we're going to talk about information I got out of the interview that I've done with William Vic's family and an arson possibly. First, I want to talk about the possible arson. So, of course, Lorinda Vic, William Vic's surviving wife, was left in William Vic's home, right? On William Vic's father's property. That actually Lorinda Vic committed forgery by having William Vic's father removed from the deed on that property, but the father was put back on the deed in December 2023. But prior to that happening, something happened that they didn't know. And by they, I mean the Vic family. They later found out from a neighbor of William Vic's. So what the Vic family actually found out was that neighbors around where William Vic actually lived helped Lorinda Vic move all of her belongings, every last thing, out of her and William's home in August or September 2023. These dates are all estimates right now because neighbors didn't know that the facts would be important at that time. They were just helping a neighbor move out of their house, but you'll see why it becomes important in just a moment. So around August or September 2023, neighbors helped Lorinda Vic move all of her belongings out of her home. It isn't 2 weeks later that the home basically burns to the ground. It is believed that Lorinda Vic claimed all of the belongings that would have been in the home when she filed the insurance on the home to get that payment. Now, I say that that's believed. I don't know that to be fact, but it's just believed. The Vic family did not find out until December, just before Christmas in December 2023, that the home had burned down months earlier because they were already in a battle trying to get the father's name back on the deed for the land. The very land that the house was sitting on. Also, according to William Vic's family, Lorinda Vic had told William Vic's children that that house would burn to the ground before any of the Vics ever got any part of it. It's just all pretty suspicious, in my opinion. So we have one murder, possibly two murders, a forgery, and possibly an arson. You would think all of these suspicious circumstances would spark some interest from the prosecutor in Johnson County, Jeff Phillips, but it doesn't seem like it has. So as of right now, Lorinda Vic has reportedly relocated to Louisiana, where she is working as an RN, and honestly, that should scare anyone. As far as her RN license, she holds a single state license through Louisiana, and she holds a multi-state license through the state of Arkansas, and both of those licenses expire in 2025. Maybe someone who knows more about nursing licensure can tell what that means. So I asked William Vic's children a series of questions. Now, I don't want to specify which one gave what response because A, it's not really that important, and B, because these kids are actually terrified of Lorinda Vic, and that's just wrong. So I'll just tell you the question and the responses that I got. So the first question I asked was, what was your experience with Lorinda before your father's death versus after his death? So the response from one of them was, Lorinda and I were never on good terms for whatever reason. She never cared for me. Things were always awkwardly tense when we were around each other. She had a jealous streak and mentioned several times that it was weird that I wanted to be close to my dad. I can't pinpoint anything that set her off, but I know for many years my dad didn't call me when she was around. I didn't go to his house if she was there. I heard from family members that she had called me a bee behind my back and told people I was a spoiled brat. I'm not sure how she came up to that conclusion that I was a spoiled brat, since I was an adult when they got together and living on my own. Neither of my parents ever financially supported me. Her definition of spoiled brat and mine must be different. There were many holidays where my brother and stepbrothers got really thoughtful and sometimes expensive gifts, and I got a regifted gift card. She never showed any malice toward my children, though, so I never said anything, but I always wondered why my dad was with her. He had to know the way she treated me. Typical evil stepmother. Things got better in the last year of his life. He stopped caring if she was around or not, and I stopped tiptoeing around her. When my dad passed, she did not call me. I had to find out from someone else. When I called to ask a very obvious what the F, she made it seem like she was just too distraught to call. But she had already called her friend and told her. She called the coroner, not the police, when she found his body, but she didn't call his children. She tried to be my friend, tried to convince me that she wasn't involved. I knew she was. I just knew it in my bones. Even before it came out that my father was murdered, my first thought was that Lorinda did something to him. I kept her close to everyone's annoyance, hoping that she would tell me something. The only thing she ever said was that she was going to burn the house to the ground, which she eventually did. I never asked her much. She would pull away at any sign of mistrust, but eventually I couldn't take talking to her anymore, and I blocked her. I was a little scared of her too. She knew where I lived. She knew where my kids went to school. Everyone in my family was very hard on me about even speaking to her, but they lived out of state. They didn't understand the panic I felt, the fear I had of her showing up and doing something crazy because I didn't believe her. My breaking point was my dad's birthday. My dad set up a scholarship fund for my kids, but he never named a beneficiary. He didn't know which grandkid would need it, so he never put down a name. She filed in court to get that money. That's what she was thinking about on my dad's birthday, taking money away from my children. She also spread his ashes without me. Told me after the fact. She wasn't completely cruel. She did give me a small jar of his ashes, no bigger than my palm, and tried to make it pretty, so she dyed the ashes. Yes, dyed them. She also put some glitter in them, so they look like a Mardi Gras parade now. So that was the response from one kid. The other one said, other than a short trip to her dad's house a couple of days after his murder to collect some things, I haven't interacted with Lorinda at all, as I have no reason to talk to her. Nothing I say to her will bring my dad back or get her thrown in jail, so I choose not to speak to her at all. I can definitely say, without a doubt, that Lorinda has lied a lot more since our dad's death than before it. The next question I asked was, have you known Lorinda to abuse prescription medications? And the reason I asked this was because of the prescription medications that were in William Vic's system when he died, and also her mother. But one kid said after a lengthy court battle, she lost custody of her children. I do not know the details, but she allegedly used drugs in the past, and that's why she was not able to gain primary custody of her children. And the other one said, I vaguely remember some years ago while me and my dad were alone together on a drive, he revealed to me that one of the reasons Lorinda lost custody of her kids was because she had a drug problem. I didn't pry more into the subject at the time, so I don't know much more than that. The next question was, what kind of person was your father? And as you probably know, I have shared some of his videos that are posted on YT. But one kid said, my dad was a big personality. He wasn't a very big man, but he made up for that in every other way. His personality took up space. He was always the center of attention, and he ate it up. You should check out his YT channel. He definitely thought he was the funniest person to ever exist. He was actually very funny. Even when he wasn't, his laugh alone would make everyone else laugh. I thought he was Superman. Thought he would live forever. We would hike and adventure a lot, and he's the only person I trusted to do that with my kids. I knew he would risk his life for me or my kids. Sometimes I still expect him to jump out and yell, gotcha, then jump out and do his hyena laugh. That's not to say that he didn't have flaws. He did. Sometimes his jokes could be hurtful. He never apologized. He was very much a what's done is done, no sense in dwelling type of person. He never saw a point in hashing out the past. He could talk about fond memories, but he didn't care for the drama of life. He wouldn't argue. He would never hash out anything. What's done is done. Move on. He could cut people out of his life without a second thought. You don't want to be there made no difference to him. He didn't ever wish anyone misfortune, but there's a very good chance he never gave them a second thought once they were gone. The other kid said, our father was a child at heart, someone who really didn't start to grow up until the last few years of his life. He lived a full life, though cut short it was, and he made a lot of mistakes while living it, but I loved him, and I miss him every day. The next question I asked was, what in your father's death or death of Lorinda's mother stands out to you as suspicious, if anything? And I didn't want to impede any sort of investigation. It was just a question I was asking to see how they actually felt. And one of them said they don't want to negatively impact any investigation that may be ongoing, but they did say that it was definitely far too suspicious and there were far too many coincidences for our dad to have simply passed away without foul play being involved. The other one said, everything about my father's death is suspicious. Lorinda found her husband dead, and instead of calling 911, she looked up the number to the coroner and called them. Martha's death is strange. Martha originally attempted to unalive herself after confessing to murder. She was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, was coherent, until detectives came around to question her. She was never charged. The prosecutor told us over and over that he would charge her, but he said it would look bad to charge her while she was in the hospital. He claimed he had to release her to her next of kin, which was Lorinda. We warned them that Lorinda would unalive her. The doctor's office obviously couldn't give an exact time frame of how long she had, but they made it seem like it could be a while. Months. She was dead in less than 12 hours of being released to Lorinda. The next question I asked was, who do you think unalived your father? One said, I absolutely believe my stepmother had something to do with this. She may have had her mother mix the medication, but she is absolutely the mastermind. Her mother was just the helper and fall guy. The other one said, Lorinda. Martha may have also been involved either actively or just the fall guy to take the blame for her daughter. It doesn't matter to me either way, as I will always hold Lorinda as being the main driving force behind his murder. The next and last question was, is there anything you think people should know about the case? One said, the main thing I want people to realize is that there's only one person who could have masterminded and carried out the plot to unalive our father, and she's still out there. Lorinda is not just a murderer, but a danger to society. She's a nurse, often working with those who are at their most vulnerable, and there are plenty of ways to cover up a murder, especially when that person is already sick, just like our dad was. The other one said, I don't have much to say about this question. Not only have I lost my dad, my kids lost their wonderful grandpa, one of our favorite people in this world. He was taken so brutally and unexpectedly. We truly thought he was Superman. We obviously want justice to be served and absolutely feel like we have fallen through the cracks and do not matter. I have been so very quiet about this for over a year because I'm terrified. I'm terrified that if I upset the prosecutor, he will decide not to prosecute. I am terrified that Lorinda will harm my family. Somehow my life has become a true crime documentary. So that's about all I have on the William Vic murder. I would love to have asked the prosecutor in this case, Jeff Phillips, why it is that cases like these are simply not as important to him. What is it about cases like these, about people like this, that he feels like don't deserve justice, that he would rather look good because it would look bad to arrest someone that was in the hospital? People do it all the time. Why did this family, why did William Vic, why did Martha McLean, why did these people not matter to Jeff Phillips? And trust me, it's not just this case. I get requests all the time about cases from the Franklin County area, the Johnson County area, the Polk County area, all counties where Jeff Phillips is a prosecutor, all counties that are lacking so much injustice, where people feel all the time like their cases are falling through the cracks and that Jeff Phillips simply doesn't care. William Vic was a person. You can see that by looking at the videos on his YouTube. He was such a character. And yeah, I can see where sometimes maybe his jokes were cruel, but he seemed like he was just bigger than life, his personality. This was a man. This is not a dead body. This is a person who had a family that he mattered to, that he still matters to, and they will not quit fighting for justice. And people like Jeff Phillips need to recognize that. People in the state of Arkansas need to know that people like William Vic, they matter. And trust me, like I said, it is not just this case, but all people who are murdered, they matter. They have families, and those families, they deserve justice.